Ego, the silent enemy of success. What if the biggest obstacle to your success isn't external, but internal? In today's fast-paced world, ego has become a significant challenge, shaping our thoughts, actions, and reactions to setbacks. But what exactly is ego? Some define it as pride or arrogance, while others see it as an inflated sense of self, the ever-present I that often takes control. Have you ever considered that your own ego might be standing in the way of your progress? Do you struggle to recover from setbacks or feel like life sometimes spirals out of control? If so, Ego is the Enemy by Ryan Holiday is a must-read. This book helps you identify and manage ego, which can often be the biggest roadblock to personal and professional growth. Through practical insights and real-life stories, Holiday provides strategies to cultivate self-awareness, humility, and resilience. But this journey isn't just about overcoming ego, it's about adopting a mindset that prioritizes growth over self-importance. Ego is a natural part of the human experience, but if left unchecked, it can lead to failure. Your success is in your hands, and understanding how to manage your ego can pave the way for meaningful growth and long-term resilience. This book offers valuable lessons and practical tools to help you take control, allowing you to move forward with clarity and purpose. Let's dive into the key lessons from Ego is the Enemy and explore how mastering your ego can unlock your true potential. The power of silence over talk. At the start of any new journey, excitement is often accompanied by uncertainty. To ease this discomfort, we tend to seek external validation rather than looking inward. We crave recognition, yet we often find it easier to talk about our ambitions than to act. Many mistakenly associate silences with weakness, believing that strength must be demonstrated through words. However, true power lies in restraint. Excessive talk can weaken our resolve and distract us from the actions needed to achieve our goals. On the other hand, silence reflects confidence and inner strength. Psychologically, the more we talk about our goals, the less likely we are to accomplish them. Speaking about our plans can create an illusion of progress, tricking the mind into believing success has already been achieved. This false sense of accomplishment reduces the motivation to take real action. To avoid falling into this trap, it is essential to control the impulse to talk and focus on taking concrete steps. Silence enhances performance by keeping us grounded and committed to our objectives. Let's explore a real-life example that highlights this principle. The cautionary tale of Upton Sinclair. In 1934, activist Upton Sinclair ran for governor of California. As part of his campaign, he published a short book titled Governor of California and How I Ended Poverty. Writing in the past tense, Sinclair described his imagined success as if he had already won the election and implemented his policies. He believed this approach would inspire voters, but instead, it backfired. By revealing his strategies prematurely, he gave his opponents an advantage. Worse, the book created a psychological illusion of achievement, leading Sinclair to lose interest in his own campaign. Although the book sold millions of copies, Sinclair lost the election by 250,000 votes. His mistake was allowing words to replace action. He had talked himself out of his own goal. This story serves as a powerful reminder: avoid premature celebration. Speaking about success before achieving it can create complacency, ultimately hindering real progress. If you want to succeed, focus on quiet, deliberate work rather than excessive talk. Let your actions speak for you. To be or to do. No matter what happens in life, strive to remain authentic and free from pretense. True success comes not from ego-driven pursuits but from genuine contributions to the world. A person who is honest with themselves will never be insincere with others. When you choose to pursue something, do it not for fame or personal recognition, but for the value you can add to others' lives. Stay true to your purpose, and extraordinary success will often follow. A remarkable example of this principle is John Boyd, one of the most influential figures in modern military strategy. The legacy of John Boyd. John Boyd was a brilliant fighter pilot known for his ability to defeat opponents in under 40 seconds. Despite his extraordinary skills and contributions, he never advanced beyond the rank of colonel. Boyd played a key role in developing the F-15 and F-16 fighter jets, projects that were deeply important to him. However, he was not driven by personal recognition. Instead, he dedicated himself to serving his country and improving military strategy. Throughout his career, Boyd advised the Secretary of Defense, but he never sought credit for his contributions. Unlike many others, he never wrote a book about his achievements, nor did he have a military base named after him. His focus was always on making a difference rather than chasing titles or accolades. Boyd's story is a powerful reminder that true impact is not measured by rank or external validation, but by the value one brings to the world. The bigger picture. Promotions and recognition do not always equate to true success. Your purpose in life should be greater than personal gain. When you act with selflessness and a commitment to uplifting others, extraordinary achievements naturally follow. The lessons from ego is the enemy emphasize that unchecked ego can derail success, while humility, discipline, and resilience lead to lasting fulfillment. By focusing on meaningful work rather than self-importance, we can unlock our full potential and create a life of true impact. The power of humility and lifelong learning. Extraordinary achievements come to those who are driven not by ego, but by a purpose beyond personal gain. To truly grow, embrace the mindset of a lifelong student. A student's primary role is to learn, to continuously evolve, and to seek knowledge, especially in areas where they feel uncertain or uninformed. This approach broadens understanding and fosters adaptability in all aspects of life. Often, after reaching a certain level of success, people become complacent, believing they have nothing more to learn. However, this mindset leads to stagnation. True progress comes from actively seeking guidance from mentors and experts, even when the learning process is demanding. Embracing constructive criticism with humility strengthens one's ability to grow. Recognizing that others have valuable insights allows us to benefit from their wisdom. The moment we believe we have nothing left to learn is the moment our growth stops. To achieve and sustain greatness, one must always approach life with curiosity and humility. Healthy self-reflection and self-motivation help keep the ego in check. Let's explore this concept through the story of a legendary guitarist. Kirk Hammett, a student before a master. Kirk Hammett, known for his extraordinary dedication to learning, was just 20 years old when he was chosen as the lead guitarist for Metallica. Shortly after joining the band, he played his first major show. Despite his experience, he remained humble, recognizing that he still had much to improve. Determined to refine his skills, he sought a mentor. In his hometown of San Francisco, Kirk found an exceptional teacher, Joe Satriani. Although Joe's style was vastly different from his own, Kirk deliberately chose him to gain a fresh perspective and expand his abilities. Joe quickly identified Kirk's weaknesses and helped him address them. Unlike many students, Kirk absorbed every lesson, paid close attention to details, and constantly strived for improvement. For 2 years, he embraced every piece of feedback, diligently working on his craft. His willingness to learn and his dedication to practice ultimately elevated him to the status of a world-class guitarist. Kirk's success was not a result of clinging to fame, but rather his commitment to continuous learning. Had he allowed his ego to convince him that he already knew everything, he would have never reached the heights of greatness. His story reminds us that true mastery is achieved by remaining a student at heart. As the saying goes, when you perform, perform like a master. But when you learn, learn with the humility of a student. The pitfall of early pride. Pride can be a significant obstacle, standing between us and our goals. Believing that we are superior to others is a dangerous mindset, as unchecked ego has the power to lead to downfall. The story of Benjamin Franklin serves as a powerful lesson in this regard. At the age of 18, Franklin returned to his hometown of Boston after spending 7 months away. Having earned a considerable amount of money, he arrived in style, dressed in a new suit, proudly wearing a watch, and carrying an air of self-importance. He eagerly displayed his success to family and acquaintances, relishing in their admiration. One day, Franklin encountered an old acquaintance, Cotton Mather, a highly respected figure in society. As they walked and talked, Mather suddenly called out, "Stoop, stoop." But Franklin, too engrossed in his own boasting, ignored the warning. Moments later, he struck his head hard against a low ceiling beam. Mather then remarked, "Your head has become so high that it was bound to get hit." This moment had a profound impact on Franklin, making him realize how his growing ego was taking control. He recognized the need to confront his pride before it turned him into someone he didn't want to become. This lesson applies to all of us. When pride takes over, life often finds a way to humble us. Ego breeds arrogance, distancing us from growth and self-improvement. Keeping ego in check allows us to navigate life's challenges with grace and humility. Avoid living in an illusion of success. Success is achieved through dedication and attention to detail. However, when embarking on a new journey, whether in a job, business, or creative endeavor, it is easy to build an imaginary story of how things will unfold. While optimism is valuable, living in a fantasy of success without acting can be dangerous. This mental storytelling feeds the ego, making us feel accomplished before any real progress has been made. Let's examine this concept through the story of Bill Walsh. Bill Walsh, the power of focus and discipline. Bill Walsh, a renowned football coach and general manager, took on the challenge of transforming one of the worst teams in the league. In just 3 years, he led them to victory, turning them into Super Bowl champions. His success was not a result of overconfidence or grand illusions, it stemmed from an unwavering focus on discipline and the smallest details. Walsh instilled a culture of excellence, ensuring that every aspect of his team's preparation was meticulous. He emphasized not only on-field performance but also off-field discipline. He instructed his players to keep their locker rooms spotless and prohibited smoking, cursing, or fighting. His attention to detail and relentless pursuit of improvement created a winning team. He did not allow ego or premature pride to cloud his judgment, he focused on actions, not illusions. Final thoughts. The lessons from ego is the enemy remind us that unchecked ego can derail success, while humility, discipline, and continuous learning pave the way for lasting achievement. To truly succeed, keep your ego in check. Embrace the mindset of a lifelong student. Accept feedback and seek wisdom from others. Stay grounded in reality and focus on actions rather than illusions. Success is not about proving superiority, it is about consistent growth, self-improvement, and meaningful contributions. When we let go of ego and commit to learning, the path to true greatness becomes clear. Newspapers began to hail Walsh as a genius, and stories of his success spread widely. However, Walsh paid no attention to the praise, choosing to ignore it entirely because he knew it could lead to arrogance. Unfortunately, his players were not immune to the hype. Over time, they grew overconfident and their self-assurance turned into complacency. This overconfidence significantly affected their performance, leading them to lose 12 out of 22 games. This illustrates what happens when we start taking credit too soon. When these imaginary stories of success settle into our minds, we begin to put in less effort, and the quality of our work declines. The 49 ERs had to work hard to regain their lost standards, a hard lesson in the dangers of early pride. This is why Walsh never let the media's flattering titles get to his head. Talking highly of yourself can make you arrogant, overconfident, and ultimately less hardworking. To avoid falling into this trap, stay grounded, focus on your efforts, and let success speak for itself without creating imaginary stories of victory. What's important to you? To achieve real success, it's essential to understand what truly matters to you. Yet, human nature often leads us to be dissatisfied with what we have and constantly chase what others possess, aiming to have more than everyone else. We often start our journey focused on what's truly important, but once we achieve it, ego begins to take root. We start saying yes to opportunities we don't actually need, thinking they will make us more successful, but in reality, they only pull us further from our true path. This mindset traps us in an illusory world, disconnected from our goals. Let's understand this with the story of Ulysses S. Grant. After the American Civil War, Ulysses S. Seeking to secure his financial future, he partnered with a financier named Ferdinand Ward, investing all his money in a brokerage venture. Unfortunately, Ward defrauded Grant, leaving him bankrupt. Grant's downfall stemmed from his desire to compete with wealthy businessmen rather than following his genuine interests. To pay off debts, he even had to use his war memorabilia as collateral. His final years were spent battling throat cancer and struggling to provide for his family by writing memoirs. Grant lost everything because he allowed his ego to overshadow his true passions, diverting him from the path that once brought him fulfillment. Instead of focusing on what mattered to him, he became entangled in competing with others, which ultimately led to his downfall. This story reminds us that losing sight of what's truly important and letting ego drive us can lead to devastating consequences. Focus on what genuinely matters and let that guide your actions, not the allure of what others have or the desire to prove yourself to the world. Alive, time or dead time. Failure is an inevitable part of life's journey. When you face setbacks, don't let them hold you back. Each time you stumble, find the courage to rise again. It's natural to feel angry or discouraged when things don't go as planned, but don't get stuck in those emotions. New opportunities are waiting for you. The author of this book explains that there are two kinds of time, dead time and alive time. Dead time is the period we spend passively waiting, while alive time is the time we use to learn, grow, and stay productive. Many people fall into the trap of dead time, but to succeed, you should strive to stay in a lifetime as much as possible. Consider the story of Malcolm X, a famous criminal who later became a respected minister and activist. In his youth, Malcolm, known as Detroit Red, was deeply involved in crime, leading a gang that engaged in everything from drug dealing to robbery and even murder. He lived fearlessly, unafraid of dying or killing. Eventually, Malcolm was arrested and sentenced to 10 years in prison when he was just 21. His life had become a disgrace, not only to himself, but to society as well. Confined within a small prison cell, he faced the bleak reality of a decade behind bars. Yet, it was in this captivity that Malcolm began to transform. He decided to make use of every second of his sentence by immersing himself in the books available in the prison library. Malcolm studied philosophy, religion, and history, using his time in prison to rebuild himself. He didn't dwell on his failures, but chose alive time over dead time, making each moment count. By the time he left prison, Malcolm X had not only changed his life, but also went on to inspire countless others as a civil rights activist, dedicating himself to the betterment of humanity. This story reminds us of the saying, "It's never too late to turn a new leaf." Don't ever think the time to change has passed. As long as you have the will to change, the right time is now. Choose a lifetime. Use each moment as an opportunity to grow, even in the face of challenges. Draw the line. At some point, we all experience failure, but that doesn't mean we should let our ego take control. Making poor decisions in reaction to failure only worsens the situation. Each morning offers a new opportunity to start fresh. No matter the circumstances, strive to uphold your character and self-respect. Problems are temporary. And even if you fail, it's not the end. Ego can make us feel ashamed of failure, but this mindset is flawed. Let's learn from a story that illustrates this lesson. John DeLorean, a well-known car manufacturer, faced a steady decline in his business. In the end, he was the architect of his own downfall. No one else was to blame. He allowed his ego to turn a difficult situation into a catastrophe. When DeLorean realized his business was failing, he could have chosen to close it down with dignity. Instead, he viewed failure as a source of shame, a mistake that ultimately cost him everything. This story reminds us to accept failure without letting ego distort our choices. Draw a line between resilience and desperation, and know when to let go. Failure is not a source of shame. It's an opportunity to learn and grow as long as we face it with integrity. The effort is enough. Never let selfishness or greed take control over you. Aim to do good, not only for yourself, but for others as well. In life, there will be times when, despite all your best efforts, the outcome isn't what you expected. Sometimes, you may find yourself in situations where you have no control, and others may even take credit for your work. In such moments, ego can weaken you, but maintaining a humble mindset is essential. Rather than attaching yourself to the outcome, focus on valuing your effort as that holds the greatest significance. Belisarius, one of history's greatest military generals, exemplifies this lesson. He fought many battles for the Byzantine Empire and led the mission to reclaim Rome from barbarian occupation. Yet, despite his victories, his achievements were never celebrated publicly. Emperor Justinian grew increasingly suspicious of Belisarius' popularity and ultimately ordered historians to tarnish his reputation and legacy. According to scholars, Belisarius was stripped of his wealth and titles. But Justinian didn't stop there. He went as far as having Belisarius blinded and forced to beg on the streets. Driven by jealousy and insecurity, Justinian could not tolerate Belisarius' growing fame. Despite this grave injustice, Belisarius never complained or allowed ego and bitterness to cloud his character. He understood that he couldn't control others' opinions of him, and he chose to remain true to his principles. Serving his country was his highest duty, and he didn't seek any reward or recognition in return. What made Belisarius remarkable was his unwavering integrity in the face of adversity. Even when treated unfairly, he stayed on the right path, devoted to his work without expecting fame or rewards. His story reminds us that true greatness lies in the effort and dedication we put into our actions, not in the recognition we receive. Conclusion. In this book, you've learned that talking too much about your plans before achieving them can reduce your chances of success. When we vocalize our goals prematurely, our mind may start to believe we've already achieved them, causing us to lose interest and motivation. You've also learned the importance of staying honest and grounded. Humility keeps us connected to our roots even after we achieve success. Often, achieving a goal can lead to ego, making us think we know everything and have nothing left to learn. This is a major cause of downfall. Remaining a student is essential. Learning has no limits, and everything you learn contributes to your growth in some way. Embrace the mindset that others have knowledge, you may not, and that you can gain valuable insights from them. Avoid building imaginary stories of success in your mind, as this can breed arrogance, which is detrimental to your future. Stay humble and keep doing what you love. Failure is a universal experience. Making mistakes isn't wrong, but failing to learn from them and repeating them is. Remember, you can always start anew regardless of setbacks. Failure isn't something to be ashamed of. Rather, it's a step forward toward success. Sometimes, we may take the wrong step, but there's no need for embarrassment. Keep your ego in check. When you do, many of life's challenges will naturally become easier, and the path to your goals will clear. With humility, resilience, and a dedication to lifelong learning, you can overcome obstacles and achieve true success. Thank you for listening to this audiobook summary of Ego is the Enemy by Ryan Holiday. We hope it provided valuable insights on overcoming ego and achieving true success through humility and resilience. If you enjoyed this summary, be sure to check out more of our content for inspiring book summaries and life-changing lessons. Until next time, keep learning and growing.